years old. And in this world in general, it's like we're just excited that the child graduated from high school at 16 years old. Yeah, ooh, oh, ooh. And I'm not putting it down. Whoever did do it, alhamdulillah. But it's like that should not be miraculous. If anything, we should say at least normative for Muslims. Okay? So in terms of that, okay, so that's Abraham. So the idea of education having nothing to do with faith is a falsehood for as far as Islam is concerned. And that Abraham, that picture of Abraham with the star, moon, sun is actually a picture of these major stages of education and reality. Okay? Now, Abraham, he believed that there was God. He believed that there was God because that was what he was looking for. That's what he's looking. I'm talking about the 6th chapter, 75 through 79, I believe it is. So in that quest, he moves star, moon, sun. Now you have the chart. Those of you who have the chart, Blog Talk folks, I'm sorry. Well, you actually got this chart yesterday. So if those of you who got the notes yesterday, you actually have it. I'm not going to. Well, I don't think I am. I'm going to elaborate on every one of those phases. But the point is that Abraham is a type of that capacity realized. That's Anshaqnahu Khalqan Akhar of 23:14. And it's interesting that also that surah is actually called The Believer. That chapter is the chapter of the believer. All right? So the star, moon, sun are actually graduations of the intellect. They are graduations of the intellect. And Abraham is a type of that intellect, even staying with the model that I've given, mashallah, is that Abraham had already taken his first steps. He had already taken his, before he came to Tawheed, he had already taken his first steps. With that way of illustrating it, what did he do? When his father was the maker of the idols, his father is the maker of the idols, he said, yeah, I know this ain't right. He was as a youth. He said, I know this ain't right. I mean, I don't know who God actually is, but I know it ain't these statues that they building right here, right? And what was it? He had logic. He had the capacity for reasoning that was natural, okay? And what he was seeing in their worship of these statues was an insult to that reasoning. And so therefore he goes and smashes up the idols. And then they said, who did this? They said, we heard the youth Abraham. He's saying this, saying that. They said, go get him, right? And they went to get him. He said, did you do this? He said, well, somebody did it. He said, well, he got the axe. He put the axe on the big one. He said, he got the axe. Axe him, right? so he can't. Well, I rest my case. Put him in the fire, right? And we put him in fire. What does God say? And fire be cool and peace for Abraham, right? What is it saying? It's saying that Abraham already had the capacity. Bring your arguments. That's all the fire was. The fire was an argument. Let's put some heat on him with our argument, a heated debate. You ever heard of a heated debate? So it had a heated, and the Bible talks about flying fiery serpents, and the Imam explains that these tongues that just love to argue, right? So Abraham said, come on. Fire is cool and peace for Abraham. That's just what I want. Yeah, let's argue. Because your stuff will be dead. By the time I'm finished, your stuff will be real dead. So, but that was Abraham before star, moon, sun. So that correlates with the idea that he had already taken his first steps, cognitively speaking, and he already had the intuitive and natural belief in God. What he needed was the scientific support for the faith that he had by nature. And so that progression from star, moon, sun is actually showing us how that works. And so that's what you have in the picture of those correlates in the little chart that you have there. Can't go through it all, but the point is to say that Education in reality, from an Islamic point of view, it is grounded in faith in God. Not only does it incorporate faith in God, it's grounded in faith in God, right? So when someone pursues education, such as it is, without faith in God, they're not going to be educated. They're not. You will know how to be a cog in somebody else's machine, but you will not be what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you to be if you have that without faith. That's just reality. Allah has not structured things in such a way that you can really have real education without faith. It's just not possible. So I want to elaborate on that, respecting the time scenario, but just let it be said and be understood that in Al-Islam, there's no such thing as education without faith. I'll try to conclude early enough so that you can have some feedback, questions, or whatever as we go on. Second point, the misperception is that education is about the brain and intellect only. I use this verse to make that point. 29:38, a translation of it says, remember also the Ad and Thamud people clearly will appear to you from the traces of their buildings, their fate. The evil one made their deeds alluring to them and kept them back from the path, though they were gifted with intelligence and skill. So you can have education, but the devil's still going to get you if you don't have the right idea of God and you don't have the right relationship with God. It doesn't matter about the other, and that's the saving grace. What's the value of it? If you got, well, let's put it in biblical terms too. Okay, I said, what benefit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? Okay, so for as far as Al-Islam is concerned, no. Education is not only about the brain and the intellect alone. There's a lot to be said about this, but I'm not going to spend much more time on that. This is just to, lay out the frame for education in reality. The third one is that education has value only. Education has value only. Let me see, my battery. My folks got cut off. Hold on. Thought I had more battery life in there. See if you can hook me up right here. See if you can. Harry. Oh, either way. Elijah, he got it. And give me power back over here. Hopefully it didn't just straight die. It may have. Yeah, it went off. All right. So, got to keep going. Wow. I'm batting 1,000 of not. Got too many moving parts here. So much, inshallah. Imam, I got to be sure I leave with audio for all the stuff I did, because I wasn't recording, man. I just stopped, drop, and roll, and so. Okay, please, I appreciate it. Alhamdulillah. Moving on. So now the next one, education has value. The thinking is that education has value only for livelihood, that is regards your self-support, jobs, career, etc. Al-Islam does not agree. Al-Ghazali, I hope many of you know Al-Ghazali rahimahullah alayh. He was one of the few that wrote in the early periods about curriculum. You'd be surprised how little information was done by quote unquote scholars about curriculum in the golden age, early era of Islam, or rather the early parts of the golden era of Al-Islam, let's say. But there's one author, Dr. Latifa El-Kandiri, writing from Imam al-Ghazali's proposed curriculum. Now I want to bring this to your attention in relationship to this part of the subject. And that is al-Ghazali's goals for curriculum sought first to develop the individual, then society, ultimately preparing one, meaning the individual, for the afterlife, where one reaps the harvest of the seeds, that is their actions, sown in this life. In this life, we purify our souls in order to be ready for the next life. And I would say, just contextually, we also purify ourselves in order to begin the educational process. But that's another part of the first principles of Islamic education. But in any case, where it says, Ya'lu alayhim ayatihi wa yuzakihim wa yu'alimuhum al-kitab wal hikmah, that's also a paradigm for education, including there. So going back to this, so it says, purify our souls in order to ready for the hereafter. Let's see. Educate ourselves for the next life. Thus, by educating ourselves and our children in these five areas, in their paper they go on to say basically the same thing. But we'll just read the example. It says, thus, by educating ourselves and our children in these 5 areas. What were the 5 areas? The 5 areas in the paper were religion, soul, intellect, family integrity, and resources. And I see in the notes, or I say in the notes, first, I use that as a mnemonic device to remember what are these 5 things that are critical. In Islamic terminology, they are called taqriri. Taqriri means that these are musts. These are imperatives. And these are also the essence of a quote-unquote complete education / curriculum for Muslims. It would mean that, so let's go with the FIRSP. F is family. I is intellect. R is religion, quote unquote, for this context, we distinguish it in that way, but you could even say ibadah, but let's just stay with religion. Religion, S is the self, S is the self or the soul, it's the same thing. S is the soul, and P is property. P is property. So this is understood in the world of Islam, in the world of Islamic knowledge, in the world of Islamic worship, what have you, that these 5 things have to be incorporated. These 5 things have to be incorporated in order to make a full human being. You don't have a full human being if they don't have the right and innate, but not innate per se. We already have the innate, but the cultivated conscious knowledge of family, the cultivated and conscious knowledge of intellect, the cultivated and conscious knowledge of religion, the cultivated and conscious knowledge of their own soul, the cultivated and conscious knowledge of property, how to acquire it, how to maintain it, how to utilize it, etc. Without that, you're really not educated in reality. We can ensure a strong society of human-focused, educated citizens who live full lives on this earth and go on to the next life to reap their harvest based on their faith. Remember, it is for them in this world and for them exclusively in the life that comes hereafter. Well, if you get educated right in this world, you can have the hasana fit dunya. You can have the excellence in this world if you are educated in reality. And the benefits and the blessings of that don't stop when you die. It's going to be even more. And what does the Quran say? It said, and when they taste the fruits of the life that comes hereafter, they say, this is like what we tasted before. I don't know. Maybe you taste a Rolls Royce in this world. I wonder what that tastes like in the hereafter. Because don't y'all be scared of no Rolls Royce. It's all right. Everybody can have one. But I wouldn't be mad if a Muslim roll up with a Rolls Royce in the masjid parking lot. Shoot, tag B. As long as he paying his zakat. He pays zakat. Hey. And listen now, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi